Hidden beneath kilometers of solid ice lies one of the most mysterious places in our solar system, a place that might harbor life. Deep below the frozen crust of Europa, one of the moons of Jupiter, scientists believe there is a vast, salty ocean. And suddenly, the biggest question emerges: what if we are not alone? But how do you explore an ocean you can't see, buried under ice thicker than Mount Everest is tall? That question led to one of the boldest missions ever attempted. On October 14, 2024, NASA launched Europa Clipper, a spacecraft built to investigate whether Europa has the ingredients and energy needed for life. This is not science fiction. This is happening right now. But Europa Clipper didn't appear overnight. Its story begins back in 2013, when scientists faced a tough choice. Should they send a spacecraft to orbit Europa directly? Should they land on the surface? Or should they try something more daring? Suddenly, a clever idea stood out. Instead of orbiting Europa, the spacecraft would orbit Jupiter and repeatedly fly past the moon. Why? Because Jupiter's radiation is brutal, and this approach reduced risk while still delivering incredible science. By 2015, that plan was officially approved. 9 powerful scientific instruments were selected, under which cameras to map the surface, spectrometers to analyze chemistry, particle detectors to study radiation, and even an ice-penetrating radar designed to peer through Europa's frozen shell. Together, they would search for signs that a hidden ocean could support life. In 2017, the mission got its name, Europa Clipper. Like the fast clipper ships of the 1800s that crossed Earth's oceans, this spacecraft would skim past Europa again and again, exploring an ocean world far from the sun. Years of engineering followed. Hardware was built, tested, and tested again. In 2022, assembly began at Jet Propulsion Laboratory. Slowly, piece by piece, Europa Clipper came to life. When complete, it was enormous, bigger than an SUV, with solar panels stretching as wide as a basketball court. Then came launch. From Kennedy Space Center, the spacecraft lifted off aboard the SpaceX Falcon Heavy. But this was only the beginning. Europa Clipper is now on a 6-year journey across the solar system, using gravity itself as a tool. First, Mars. In 2025, the spacecraft flew just 550 miles above the Red Planet, stealing a bit of its energy. Back to Earth in 2026 for another gravity assist. Why all this complexity? Because reaching Jupiter requires enormous speed and enormous precision. In April 2030, Europa Clipper finally arrives. But instead of a quick maneuver, it fires its engines for 6 straight hours to be captured by Jupiter's gravity, passing close to Ganymede along the way. Over time, more flybys reshape its orbit, lining it up perfectly with Europa. Then, in 2031, the moment arrives. The first close flyby of Europa. Flying just 25 kilometers above the surface, Europa Clipper will scan the ice, sniff the thin atmosphere, and listen for clues hidden below. Do plumes of water erupt from the surface? How thick is the ice? Is the ocean salty? Warm? Active? 44 flybys will follow, revealing Europa in unprecedented detail. And although this mission will not detect life directly, it answers something just as important. Is Europa a place where life could exist? Because if the answer is yes, then suddenly the universe feels a lot less empty, and we discover new ways of life. Maybe we take them back to Earth and grow them, so you could buy Europa guppies. Maybe we find nothing, and is Europa a dead ocean and an ultimate disappointment? Time will tell. For now, we must search every possibility, and even though if we wouldn't find anything, we still have a lot of data to know where we do have to look for, and eventually succeed in finding extraterrestrial life.